First of all, I'd like to give a great shout out for what was a great wedding present. The Pittsburgh Steelers! Thank you for that Thursday night loss. Second of all, probably most important is the Scoogan family and the Welsh family really want to welcome you to this great event. We're glad you all came, and we really want you to have a good time. And if you can't have a good time here, well, sucks to be you. Sorry about that, Father. But anyways, he follows me, so we'll worry about that later. One of the things I want to let you all know is this is the last event for me. I have 3 daughters, and this is the 3rd and final wedding. So my saying is 3 weddings and a funeral, and that's what we got going now. So Tom, he's been in the family for about a year and a half, and Tom's a very, very good communicator, if you all know what I mean. Matter of fact, he communicates so well, I thought he was in the family for the last 20 years. He has more text in our family texts than everybody combined. So, Tom, thanks for communicating. So now what I want to do is give you some advice on communication with Bridget. See, Bridget and I go back a few years too, and if you all know, the Welsh family is pretty competitive, all right? And sometimes it gets a little intense out on the field. So we had a communication deal called when Dad was too intense, Bridget would use a code word, hot dog, okay? Matter of fact, she said that word so many times, you thought she was a vendor selling hot dogs. But it worked out good because Bridget's first job was working at Annie Ann's selling hot dogs. So this communication thing went really, really well. So what I want you all to do is raise your glasses and let's wish them the best. And what's that? Well, my final saying is, now that I'm turning Bridget over to you, Tom, I have 2 good things to say. 1, have many blessings. And 2nd, for me, hot dog!
Thanks, everybody, for coming out to celebrate Bridget and Tom. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Megan. I'm Bridget's older sister. And since I'm expecting Bridget and Tom's first nephew in about a month, I get the honor of doing this speech dead sober. So, yeah, cheers for sobriety. Okay, so growing up, Bridget had a tendency to get what she wanted. Often, it seemed quite often that she was able to do that. But one thing that is awesome about being the older sister, and Bridget and I actually just talked about this, is you kind of have the upper hand. You can get your younger siblings to do a lot for you. You get away with a lot. So, I got to drive first. You want to ride to your friend's house? Well, what do I get in return, right? So, and Bridget honestly obliged most of the time, which was awesome. Really do appreciate that. And I'm really honored to be able to be considered one of your 100 best friends. And while there is a ton of good things to say about Bridget, you have to talk about how caring and compassionate that she is. I joke because everybody she says is her best friend, but she really does mean it. I think she's truly sincere when she calls people her best friends. And everybody who knows Bridget knows that she is truly just one of the most caring and kind and compassionate people. So it's because she has this tendency to love hard, which she's told me many times I don't do. But that's okay. Bridget does enough of loving hard for the both of us, so we're covered on that front. But okay, so one last thing I want to talk about with Bridget growing up. At a rather young age, and I have no idea where this really came from, but she always wanted to live on Lake Road. Yes, you did. And I think we must have known somebody who lived on Lake Road because we didn't. We did not live on the west side. And so, interestingly enough, right when Bridget and Tom started dating, Tom bought a house on Lake Road. And I'm like, wow, Bridget really gets what she wants, doesn't she, right? You know? But, okay, so that brings me to Tom. So I have known Tom about 9 years longer than Bridget's known Tom. Tom and I and his dad, George, we've all worked together at National Interstate going back the past decade. And National Interstate is one of those companies that kind of considers each other family, right? Well, I gotta say, like, my wife is also a coworker at National Interstate. Now these two are getting married. I think we've taken that saying a little too literally. But on the topic of family, I do want to talk about this because that's one thing that I know that the two of you like truly, truly value, and it's so apparent, and I think it's so apparent to everybody who sees you that you share that value. Bridget absolutely adores Tom's family, and like my dad mentioned, you know, Tom fit in very quickly. You know, he's been part of the family since the past year and a half. So just having those same values, I think, is so important in a relationship. And I know that you guys share in the same values. You're going to get through those hard times. And you got through planning this wedding, which was extremely stressful, it seemed, for the two of you. So I know that you're going to make it. I've got faith. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with one last story. And George kind of alluded to this at his speech at the rehearsal dinner. You know, there's a lot of stories that go around about the setup of Bridget and Tom and who's responsible for setting up Bridget and Tom and a plot and all this other things, you know, that people are talking about, right? Well, I'm going to give you my version of the story. So back in, I'd say, you know, early COVID years, it was 2020, end of 2020, we were all still working remote. Tom and I were meeting up for drinks, and the bar closed on us. It was a weeknight. 10 p.m., too early, obviously. So we were right down the street from my parents' house. So I sprung on my mom, like, hey, me and my friend, we're coming back, and I'm, you know, the bar's closed too early. We have to come back and keep drinking, apparently, on a weeknight. So my mom, you know, set out a cheese tray somehow in 5 minutes. We were 5 minutes down the road, but, you know, she's a good hostess. And that's when Tom met my mom. Before Bridget, right? Bridget's not in the picture yet. This is just me and Tom at my mom's house. And if you guys know Tom, and if you know my mom, they are both quite the talkers. So there was absolutely no shortage of conversation here. Probably way too many Miller Lights and Chardonnays. But this night ends with my mom pulling Bridget's senior high school picture out. Now, this photo is more than a decade old, right? And she is like, Tom, this is my daughter, Bridget. You know, you guys are going to be perfect for each other. We told my mom, like, Mom, please let them meet organically. Like, let's at least try, right? So fast forward, they did end up meeting, you know, a month and a half later. We went out for drinks for my birthday, and they, you know, the rest is history. But I say that the credit for setting you guys up, real MVP, Mom over there. Okay, second place, I'll take it. You know, competitive, but I gotta give it to my mom. So anyways, I'm just gonna end with this. I'm so happy that you two did get together, and Tom, honestly, I can see that Bridget becomes one of the best versions of herself around you. I know that you truly do make each other better, and that is so important in a partnership, and I think that, you know, it just lasts a lifetime. So what I wanna say on that note is, everybody please raise your glass to Bridget and Tom. Cheers.
All right, welcome to the roast of Bridget and Tom. Oh, toast. I mean toast. I'm sorry. So, like Dad said, we are a very competitive family, and I know my speech will be the best, but I need you guys to be loud with it so we can convince everyone. Since I was a little kid, I have always followed in Bridget's footsteps. She was a picky eater, so I was a picky eater. She was a straight A student, so I tried my best. She yelled at every rude person she encountered at the bar, so I got a lot of confidence from her. Bridget, you possess strength that is something to emulate, and no, I'm not talking about the physical strength you use when you're pissed at me. I'm talking about her ability to truly care for people and put every ounce of love and passion she has into others. Bridget, you're a bulldog, and you will fiercely defend anyone in need, even if the situation is uncomfortable. You're a force. And I'm so incredibly happy for Bridget and Tom and to be celebrating them today. Tom. Oh, how it would be so easy for me to pick on you as the little younger sister I am. All I'm gonna say is, please, for the love of God, stop sucking up to us all now. You're in. I wish you and Bridget all a lifetime of love and happiness, but now while we're all really here we go, brownies, here we go. Ooh, ooh. Cheers, Bridget and Tom.
All right, good evening, everybody. Adam Schneid, Tom's best man. Thank you all for those who made this wedding possible. Beautiful venue tonight. And thank you all for coming out to help celebrate this awesome occasion. A little bit closer, okay. There we go. So Tom and I first met in third grade. It was 1999. And we've always been extremely competitive with one another. In fact, Tom recently sent me a screenshot of our 2001 Little League Baseball batting averages. And of course, Tom had to just rub it into my face that he was a little bit better than me. Danny, you were on there too. You were just below Tom. But yeah, one of the things that Tom and I agreed on when we were younger, because we didn't always agree on everything, but we did agree with each other that we'd be each other's best man someday. So certainly appreciate that, and I'm honored to be here, standing in front of you guys tonight. So I wanted to share a few things about Tom that most of you probably don't know. I'm going to start with Hallmark. Tom was a big fan of Hallmark movies, especially the Christmas movies. I believe his favorite Hallmark Christmas movie is Love at First Bark. Another thing about Tom that many of you probably don't know, well, you know about him because you've seen him, but he's got some amazing eyelashes. And the mothers out here tonight, you guys all know what I'm talking about. A lot of the moms were crazy over Tom's eyelashes, and we really couldn't figure out why they were so luscious. Well, earlier today when we were getting ready in the hotel room, I found some Maybelline Great Lash, and I finally figured it out. But on a more serious note, one of the things I admire most about Tom is what an incredible son and grandson he is. He always prioritizes the women in his life, and I know he'll be a great husband. And in closing, I want to wrap things up and say that Tom is truly a man of his word. I remember when, I think it was January 31st, 2021, and Tom called my wife and I that morning to tell us about his date with Bridget. Well, technically not a date, a setup. But he told us both, he's like, I'm going to marry that girl someday. And here we are tonight. But Bridget, we love you so much. You make Tom happy in ways I never could. So with that, let's raise a glass. Here's to Tom and Bridget.